It seems like every year we always have that one story that breaks the internet. And this year we all decided to gather around the campfire as our scoutmaster unbuckled his pants, whipped out his dong, and told us the story of the Ocean Gate submersible. Now, for those who want a brief speedrun of this story, I will try my best. A company known as Ocean Gate wanted to pride itself on submersible tours of 95% of the ocean that isn't explored by human eyes. This is a very backed company, having billionaires and all that investing into it. But the main thing about this tour was that in 2023, this year, they were going to explore the wreck of the Titanic. It's a very known touristy spot for kind of free diving and all that. Hi, brief interjection point here. I know I said you could probably free dive or scuba dive to that of the wreck of the Titanic, but in reality you cannot. The pressure is too great, it's too cold, and it's just far below the surface for anyone to actually do that. So I did get that point wrong. Anyway, back to the story. And even then, people still like to explore the Titanic because it's a historical landmark of the ocean, which is very rare. But the more that comes out about this story, the more it seems stranger than fiction. A couple days into the submersible's launch, the thing had stopped working and we had lost it at sea. Now, for a brief in look of how this thing runs, this thing is so jerry-rigged that calling it jerry-rigged isn't even fair. This is like Jimmy the Redneck built a submarine in his backyard. This wasn't constructed by experts or submersible engineers who had been working on submarines for years. No, this thing was about the size of a minivan and was controlled by a bootleg PS5 controller that looked like something you got off AliExpress along with a free crack pipe. That mixed with the fact that this submersible's main hatch was in the front, and that upon closing it would be bolted shut, so that the only way to open it is that when the submersible would emerge from the water and brought back to land, it would be opened up again by people from the outside. They mainly had this because they didn't think tours would last this long or think in worst case scenarios like what happened here. Now, as time goes on, people start theorizing what's going to happen. They're going to go mentally insane, they're going to lose all their oxygen and never be found and die before they're ever found. Or there's a million other theories. People even had at one point sharks were going to eat them. Yeah, people got pretty wild with this. But people sat around and watched as this happened, as people tried their best to search and rescue this missing submersible. Remember, the ocean's huge, as is the planet itself. It's kind of like looking for a needle in a stack of needles that's in a stack of hay. That's what you're looking for there. It's one specific thing among a multitude of things that look like it. There are thousands of wrecks in the ocean, as well as the ocean just being vast, dense, dark, cold. You can't really spend a lot of time and resources on it, because at the end of the day, people get tired. And a day ago, we learned about probably the saddest thing that could have happened out of this, which was that pressure had gotten to the submersible and it imploded on itself. Now, when it comes to the ocean, there's a thing called atmospheric pressure, which is the deeper you go into the ocean, the greater the pressure force is on you. And it's the smaller the object that you have, is the greater the impact that force has on it. If you drop a pebble in the ocean and it sinks down to a depth where the atmospheric pressure is so great, that rock will just crumble like that, like dust, like Thanos snapping someone out of existence. But the bigger the object, the harder it is for the pressure to crumble it. It's a lot of science, and I could be getting it wrong, but I think I have a basis general understanding of it. But think of it like this: a very thin submersible, about the size of a minivan, crashing into depths where the pressure is so great that it's going to turn this thing into a crushed soda can where all that air inside is compressed and shot out. It's kind of like sticking a knife into a well shook soda can in a sense. That's what happened to the submarine. And a big question has come up since learning about this implosion is, do people have sympathy for the people that went aboard this submarine? And I'm going to give my personal take on this, and I want people to hear me out before they judge me for this. I do not have sympathy for what happened. Sure, it's a traumatic event and tragic in general, but here's my side of it. These people went into this knowing the very many red flags that this thing had had. They went into this knowing that things could go wrong. And I accumulate it to that of Everest. You go into this knowing that death, disease, hypothermia, getting lost, all these things are possible on the mountaintop. Very many things could happen to you while exploring Everest. Yet people want to do it because it looks good on Instagram. The people went a part of this because it sounded good. They put full trust in Ocean Gate that this submersible was going to be fine. But when you look into things like the CEO and all that, you learn that he hated safety regulation. He felt that safety regulation ruined the industry that he was in, and that he tried his hardest to not try and follow those. He even refused to hire experienced submersible workers and people who engineered submersibles because he felt they also buzz killed the entire thing. So, when you have this mixed in with the many red flags of it being run by a bootleg PS5 controller, the fact that there was no plan B in case, things went awry, the fact that they bolted the main thing, the main head of the submarine shut with no possible escape, it really makes it feel like you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And I can't really sympathize with that. It's like going on Everest, like I said. You know the risks, you know the dangers, and when you die, I can't really feel anything for you, because you knew very well the outcomes that could have happened. At the end of the day, this was still their choice to make. They could have fully opted out, but they still decided to sign and waive their rights away to be a part of this once in a lifetime experience. And true, it is once in a lifetime, for I don't think we'll ever have a story as chaotic as this one for the rest of the year. I could be wrong about that, but I highly doubt that.